Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer. Thanks for taking a minute to stop by my channel. I'm glad you're here today and I hope you learned something from this video. Let's address the elephant in the room, this little bugger right here. I've got a black eye. Nobody has hurt me, nobody has hit me. Please don't be concerned about that. It was just a little situation thing that happened. It just happened and it happens to everybody. At some point in your life you end up with a little situationship, perhaps on your face, or maybe you get a little hickey on your neck because you've been having a heavy makeout sesh with your honey. Whatever be the cause, you might at some point in your life, you're going to need to cover something up on your face or your neck or maybe on other parts of your body. Maybe it's a tattoo that you don't want mom or grandma to see. So here are my tips and tricks to help you hide your little situation if you happen to get yourself in one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a concealer brush. And I'm going to use a couple different kinds of things to camouflage this. The first thing I'm going to start with is using some color correction. I'm going to use green. And I know it sounds strange, like why in the world would you put anything green on your face? But the reason you want to use green is because it's going to counteract the red. And if you can see my little situation, I've got a little bit of yellow, I've got some purple, there's some white, it's all colors of the rainbow at this point. But in order to cancel out the red, I'm going to want to use green. Then I'm going to want to come in with something with some peach undertones. That's going to help cast out this yellow a little bit. This is also good for your under eyes just in general, using any kind of concealer with a peach undertone. A peach undertone concealer will work on any color of skin. No matter what shade of the spectrum that you are, from dark to extremely light, a peach undertone is always going to help cancel out the lines that you get underneath your eyes, or the brown marks, which you can get from lack of sleep, lack of nutrients in your diet, or just the thin skinning. The skin thinning down as we age will start to show the vascular nature of what we have under our eyes. Under our eyes, it's a very vascular area. That's why we get bruises very easily there. And we start to show that as our skin thins down as we get older. It doesn't always mean that, ooh, I'm getting old, I'm getting brown marks now. It could just mean that they were always there. They're just now starting to show up. But if you do have a bruise or you have these lines that you don't want to use, you're going to start with your green. You're going to want to go with something with a peach undertone. Then you're going to want to let all of that dry. Then we're going to go in with another concealer, our regular concealer. Once all that dries down, we're going to want to go cover all of that back up with our full coverage foundation to get so that you don't have all this mess over here covering up this and then you put nothing else on your face. It's going to make absolutely call more attention to what it was you were trying to camouflage in the first place. So the tools I want to use, like I said, I'm going to use my concealer brush. Then I'm going to use my beauty blender, and I'll explain why when we get there. I've ever used a beauty blender. I found the coolest thing is that the beauty blenders, and I'm sure you could use this for any one of your makeup sponges. This is a beauty blender if you're not sure what a beauty blender is. This is a case for it, and it has holes in it that allow the air to flow in and out of the container, which is phenomenal because these makeup sponges you have to use when they're wet. If you're traveling and you just throw a dirty, wet makeup sponge into your luggage, you could potentially stain your clothes and it's going to pick up, I don't know, dog hair, crumbs, lint, whatnot. It's really a disgusting situation. So these beauty blender cases they're really a cool product to pick up. I picked mine up on Amazon. I'm going to go ahead and link my blender and the case down here on Amazon. If you don't have one and you're traveling this summer, go ahead and get one. Or just in general, I keep mine in my bathroom this way because I knock things off my counter all the time if it ends up on the floor, or just in general you get dust on things. So this is a really cool tool. So I just wanted to show you that because this is a really good thing to have, especially if you're traveling. Now, anytime you use a beauty blender or a makeup sponge, a beauty blender is a trademark, but any type of a makeup sponge, never use it dry. It's just going to absorb your product and it's not going to make it to your face. You want to run this under running warm water and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and let it fill back up at least 13 to 15 times. It goes quick, but you want this thing to be absolutely positively saturated in order for it to feather out your makeup to get the look that you're trying to achieve. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my green. And I'm using this. This is the Maybelline Cover Stick Corrector Concealer. And I'll link this down below. Everything I use today, I'll go ahead and link down below. And I'm just going to take my concealer brush, and I'm going to brush it on here like this. Don't want to get too much. And I'm going to go ahead in there and just, you got to be careful when you have a bruise because those things hurt. That's another reason why sometimes the best tools are your fingers. They warm up the product and help move it around, and you also know exactly how much pressure to apply so it doesn't hurt because these little things, they smart. There's a little bit of redness right there. I have just a permanent brown mark up here. I'm going to go ahead and throw some of this on here today anyways, just to show you how, even though it's specifically for taking out the red, it can also help with a lot of different discolorations that you have. If you haven't ever tried a green concealer or purple, because, you know, if you look on the color wheel, the purple cancels out certain colors, the green cancels out certain colors. You might want to give it a try. It's really an interesting concept. It's been around for years, but sometimes people just don't really talk about it too much. So once I've applied that, I'm going to take my Beauty Blender. I'm going to just very gently buff that in. And what that does is it takes down the hard edges around whatever it is you're trying to conceal, but it won't remove the product. It's almost like an airbrush effect, sort of. And these are also great for applying your foundation all over. Certain foundations work better with a Beauty Blender or a sponge. A lot of times they'll tell you which way, but sometimes if you experiment, like if you have a particular foundation that just isn't working for you and everybody says they love it, maybe try the way that you're applying it. Some are better applied with your fingers, some are better applied with a brush, and some are definitely better applied with a makeup sponge. You just have to kind of play around with it or watch people's YouTube channels like mine where I try it out and I can help you out with that. Okay. I might go back in there and do a second layer of that. I'm not quite sure yet because it's a pretty big bruise, y'all. It's pretty big. And now I'm going to come in with my Il Makiage concealer, and the reason I'm liking this is because it's got peach undertones in it, and it's going to really help counteract this discoloration. And what the heck, I'll put one up here and one up there too, just to show you the layering effect that I have going on. Just use a little bit, because if you put too much on there, it's going to show like you were, hey, what are we trying to camouflage over there? And it can get too heavy as well. So you just want to gently pat it in. And like I said, my Beauty Blender has been submerged in water several times. And sometimes no matter how hard you try, if you've got an imperfection or a tattoo, some things just aren't going to cover them. It's just the nature of the beast. Word of advice, just don't get the black and blue mark in the first dang place, right? But, you know, things happen. Things happen. And life goes on. Okay, so you want to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to get back in with another dollop of this green on here. You can see where it's taken away my brown mark up there. We're just going to put a little more green on there. The many colors of Bruises, it's so funny, you know, when you first get them, they're bright red, and they go to like a nice purple, and then you get the fun yellow, and it's like, oh geez, when does this ever end? But it is coming to an end. Like I said, prevention is key. Don't get the black and blue mark in the first place. Very gently. Let that dry a little bit. Now I'm going to use the Oxygenetix Concealer. This is a very, very thick, very rich, very full coverage foundation. My goodness, when you see how much I use of this, you'll be really surprised. I mean, a little goes a long way. The worst, you can make this stuff look terrible by using too much really quick. You just use a teeny, tiny bit. It's minuscule. Like, it comes in a pump. It's a really interesting concealer. It's supposed to actually be good for your skin. Who knew? Supposedly it makes it allows your skin to breathe when you have it on, which, you know, don't we all love that? They even say that you can sleep in this, which I have never known a makeup company to say it's okay to sleep in our makeup. I mean, just everything in my being tells me never sleep in your makeup, and I still don't sleep in this, even though it says you can sleep in this. I'm not sleeping in it. I'll take my chances. I'm not doing it. I don't care how good it is for me. It can't be better than the skincare that we normally use. Can you see how little that is? I mean, that is tiny. That is so tiny. And I'm going to put just a drop right here. Just a little teeny tiny drop there. Do you see how thick this stuff? I mean, it is thick. Remember back in the old days, they used to call it pancake makeup? I don't know if I'm telling my age or not. That wasn't around in my generation, but I've heard grandparents and things talk about the pancake makeup that women used to wear. This reminds me of what pancake makeup would be like, because it has the consistency of pancake batter when you put it on. So there we go. We got that on top. And we'll let it dry a little bit. While that dries, I can go ahead and start putting my foundation on the other side of my face. And this is one I've been really loving a lot. This is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Foundation. I really am loving the Makeup Revolution brand. I get it over at CVS. It is definitely drugstore priced, but it is really good quality makeup. I recently picked up a palette, which I'm going to do an eyeshadow look on. Phenomenal coverage, no fallout, rich pigmented colors. I was really, really taken back, and I think it was only $5 for a really big palette. I'll do that in another video, though. Okay, so I'm just putting on my foundation like I normally would, and I did go over this just a little bit. I'm going to work on the other side of my face first, though, just to... It's weird that it has a sponge applicator for a foundation, isn't it? I guess that saves you from getting anything else dirty, but here we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this all applied in here. I do love using a beauty blender. It's such a nice airbrushed finish that you get. It's light. A lot of people say that they don't like to use a sponge because it eats up all of their foundation. I agree and I disagree. I think sometimes, yeah, perhaps, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. But if you wet your sponge properly enough and you make sure that you use everything that's in the brush, or in the sponge rather, before you reapply foundation to it, I don't think it's that bad. I really don't. I mean, for the look that you get by using a sponge, I think it's worth it. I really do. Such a nice, flawless look, especially when you're using a full coverage foundation like I'm using today. The last thing you want to do is get that stuff cakey looking, you can do that so easily. Get a cakey look by using a really full coverage foundation. So using a sponge really helps. So what do you guys think? I mean, I can still see it a little bit, but I think it's definitely looking a lot better. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and set that. I may get back in and put another layer on it, just depending on how it looks after powder and once your oils on your face start to produce a little bit and your skin warms up to the makeup. A lot of times it changes the way it looks. They say when you're trying out a foundation, like for a shade, you're supposed to put it on and wait about 5 minutes to decide if that shade is for you, because once it dries, it is a different color. It's just like when you paint your walls. When you do that first swatch of paint on your wall, you think, oh, geez, is this really the color that I got? Or you think, oh, this is great. And then about 10 minutes later, you're like, what the heck? This is not what I bought, because it looks different as it dries. And your makeup is no different. Today I'm going to use a little bit of translucent powder, simply because I don't want to add any more layers of color to what I've already got going on over there. So this is the Mary Kay translucent powder. I love this stuff, especially in the summertime, because it absorbs any sweat or oil before it even makes its way to the top of your skin. It's lovely. And you know what else it's lovely for? Lovely is the word of the day today. If you have a lipstick on that is not a long-wearing lipstick, you can apply your lipstick and dust with a clean eyeshadow brush or a blending brush. Dust it over the top of your lipstick and then apply another coat of lipstick. It absolutely will get your lipstick staying on for many, many hours. It makes it really foolproof. That's a really good tip, and I love to use that. Although most of them lipsticks, I like buying a long-wearing lipstick because I drink water all day, and my lipstick, I basically eat it. So I'm really somebody who likes a long-wearing lipstick. But see, this is translucent. If you don't know what that means, it's just white. And this is good for any skin tone. You can be dark-skinned, extremely pale. This is not going to change the color of your skin. All it's working to do is absorb any extra oils that your makeup may have had and to keep down any further shine throughout the day. And I'm just going to dust it right over that, just so it doesn't smear off and look anyways funny. I think it looks a lot better than what it did. I mean, I think you can tell it's there because it's still swollen, which is part of the problem. I guess maybe I should put some ice on that. Maybe it'll help it to go away. But, you know, it's life. It's who I am. And every now and then we have boo-boos in life. Hopefully you don't have too many in yours, but that's just the way life is. And you could definitely do the same thing on your neck if you had, like I said, a little hickey or something, or a tattoo that you don't want everyone to see. Tattoos are really hard to cover, but with a little bit of work, I'm sure, you know, and everybody will find something that works for them. But like I said, you want to have in your arsenal, and there's a lot of kits they sell out there too that come with a green, purple, and a yellow. It's like a little trio you'll see to help cover up things like this. These are good. The procedure that I just did is also good for covering up a big zit. You know, it never fails. You've got a big day coming up and you wake up and there's a big honking zit somewhere on your face and it's festering and you want to deal with it, but you can't because it'll look all red for your big day. So this is something that can help calm down the look of it. Another thing that's good if you've got a big juicy zit sitting on your face is take a little bit of Visine, put on the end of a Q-tip, and just touch it to your little zit there, and it'll help take the red out. That's a good trick too. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you found value, please hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. That way every time I load up one of these videos, you can get a chance to see it first. And I appreciate you stopping by today, and I hope to see you again in my very next video. Bye-bye.